Hey, thanks for checking out The Solid Verbal. Now would be a great time to subscribe to the channel for college football content all off season long. What will happen is you get a big Big 12. You get a terrific footprint that spans essentially from West Virginia and Florida on the East Coast to the mountain region to the Pacific region with the Arizona schools. And you're offered a lot of flexibility. And yet, outside of, right now you can only point to TCU because they're the only, if I'm counting this correctly, the only team to make it to the college football playoff from this group of teams. Now, granted, UCF, former national champion. Let's get it clear.
Of course.
But there's no hierarchy. There's no, these are the power schools, which is both a good thing because you like wild open craziness after TCU, I suppose, because they earned that. But also, you like to say, oh, they're top heavy, or they're so deep at the top, or it's just these two teams, right? When we had like Florida State and Clemson duking it out in the ACC, like you like the ability to define the tiers of a conference. And right now, the Big 12 is just a loaded middle, and I appreciate it as somebody who
that
just
makes
likes
it
watching.
A lot of fun to watch.
It makes it a lot of fun to watch. But it's hard to crack into national conversations if you're just throwing a smattering of 8 and 4 teams at the wall.
No.
So that's the interesting thing. And somebody, it is going to develop, right? It always develops that, okay, now here's the new look of the conference. There's no more Oklahoma. Arizona's up and coming. Oklahoma State has had recent success, but seems to be on a downturn. Houston, but down. Like, you have all these teams that can't sustain. Who is going to be able to finally figure out from this grouping of teams how to sustain? That's fascinating to me. But right now, you can't point to, like, if you were looking at the future iteration of the Big 12, so adding the corner schools, and Utah's been a great team. Utah's been that one team that's been able to sustain. I take it back, but haven't made the playoff. Who to you, what is the matchup of all of these teams where you're in August and you're like, oh, man, this is going to be great, this is going to be great, but it's coming down to this? Is it coming down to the Mountain West matchup of Utah TCU?
It might. Yeah. That was going to be my answer.
Wild. But kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. To the question earlier of what does the addition of Oregon and Washington do to the Big Ten? And I think your point was, well, it makes Washington a better job.
Mm-hmm.
Does the same hold true on the Big 12 side? If you're Jed Fish at Arizona,
right?
Does it make your job? Does it make the Arizona job more attractive to join the Big 16, whatever?
No,
they got to do something about these numbers. The Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12. That's already changing, but they're going to have to update these conference names at some point because it's going to get very confusing. But nonetheless, does joining the Big 22 and a half, however many teams,
right,
make Arizona State, make Colorado, make Utah a more prestigious job?
No. The only prestigious jobs in this dystopian future we are outlining are Big 2 jobs. SEC, Big 10. Jed Fish goes 10-2 at Arizona. He's going to be the next coach at Michigan. He's going to be the next coach at Penn State. He's going to be the next coach at Texas. He's going to be whatever is open, and whatever, whoever wants to ride the Jed Fish train. And so, no. And the same holds true of Sonny Dykes at TCU, even though he took him to the playoff. It's just one of those things where status, exposure, money. Now, you're going to be able to pay Sonny Dykes a good amount of money at TCU, presumably, with this deal. Like, TCU is not a huge, I don't know what their booster situation, I know they don't have a huge alumni base, but if Alabama comes calling, if Tennessee comes calling, if Ohio State comes calling for Sonny Dykes, if he gets them to another playoff and is winning 10 games a year. Now, I know he's from Texas. I know his heart's probably there, and maybe he will stay. Maybe he is that kind of coach. But if somebody doesn't have that specific tie to the school, and there is that big money job and the stability of either going to that big place or knowing that you're going to get a $28 million buyout because of the amount of money that Nebraska or Penn State or Arkansas or any of these schools is able to throw around, I think you got to be gone. I think the Big 12 just is not on that level of security. It's secure in terms of its existence and consistency of existence, but I don't think it means that any of these guys are going to stick around for romantic reasons.